All right, everyone. It is another exciting episode of From the Margins with James Auffant. My dear friend Jimmy, how are you this beautiful Thursday fall
Well,
spring afternoon?
I'm recuperating. For those of you who suffer from allergies, you know this is the worst time of the year.
Yes.
So if I sound a little bit fatigued, it's not that I'm tired. It's just that I've been trying to deal with this. Allegra has become my best friend. Florex has become my second best friend, and rest is my third best friend. But other than that, I am in great shape and in great matters. So
Excellent. Well, let's get to it because I know how you feel. I was that way about 2 weeks ago, and oh boy,
yeah.
napping is a good idea. Taking a nap is a good idea.
Oh yes, especially at our age. Oh.
I'm beginning to feel it, Jimmy. So I'm with you on that.
Well, let's start with the first thing, the indefinite ceasefire. Let's get this off the books. I'm going to use this as an example of our country. I'm not going to use this. I'll discuss the ceasefire, and don't worry, I will. But I found it interesting. If you're MAGA, you're getting your news from News Nation. You're getting it from Fox, and you're getting it from other sources. And basically, you are in agreement that there is an indefinite ceasefire that was agreed upon by the parties. The truth of the matter is that basically, uh, our president has declared an indefinite ceasefire. It's kind of interesting. Iran keeps telling us that they have not agreed to it. And that depends if you are listening to who you're listening. But the truth of the matter is that we are in an indefinite ceasefire. Look, this is part of what I'm trying to bring today, more than anything else. Our divide has reached a point that if you're MAGA and News Nation tells you that there's an indefinite ceasefire, you agree upon it. If Fox tells you there's an indefinite ceasefire and that the president has agreed to it, you believe that. If you are a progressive, you believe that Iran is saying that they have not agreed to anything, that they have just decided to attack ships that are in the port, and that they don't believe there's a ceasefire because the U.S. is blockading their ships from going out, and the United States is taking over their ships that they're trying to export their oil. Uh, what the truth is that both of them have stopped shooting at each other, but there is no agreement. And the most interesting thing is that Iran, and this both news media have told you, has refused to go to and sit down and discuss it. Fox will tell you that it's because the government in Iran is divided, and uh, CNN and MS will tell you that's because the U.S. does not have any new proposals to really be discussed. That is the divide of this country. MAGA, you have your news. Progressive, you have your news, and it's not fake news. Is the question is it really that we want to believe our news and call the other one fake? That is where it has become an interesting divide. That is where I'm concerned about my country. Look, I'm not aligning with one or the other. That's not what I'm trying to say here. Is that we're so divided that if you were one group, this is your truth. If you're with another group, this is your truth. And I'm going to start by saying this. This is not a liberal conservative issue. I would never call the MAGA movement a conservative movement because that's offensive to the true definition of conservatives.
Okay.
I would not call the progressives a liberal group because they don't even want to be called that. That's why they invented the word progressive, because to them, liberals do not define what they stand for. So at this point, the question is our country is divided in their beliefs. They believe that there is if you're a MAGA person, you believe that the president worked out a ceasefire. If you are a progressive, you believe that no, he just declared it. but there is no real agreement. Truth of the matter is, if we're going to be honest with everybody, there's never been a signed ceasefire agreement.
Right.
Pakistan worked out something and said, "Would you agree to this? Yes. Would you agree to this? Yes." Has there been any details as to what it covers? No. As a matter of fact, that was the big fight because that we still have currently, because Israel continued bombarding Lebanon, and they had to agree to stop it for it to really be a ceasefire. Because you cannot say there's a ceasefire over here but not over there. That's why. But realistically, and more proof of it is that Iran never agreed as a condition of ceasefire that the U.S. could blockade their ships from going out. They never agreed to that, and we could agree on that because it doesn't make sense. How long is this going to be going on? This is a good question, because my concern is this: as good as it sounds, an indefinite ceasefire, the longer this goes on, that no oil is coming out of Iran, Qatar, Bahrain, the United Arab Emirates, and Saudi Arabia to the rest of the world, our prices are going to fluctuate between $4 and $4.10. And I find it interesting to see some people that gasoline is coming down. It's $3.93. Shit! Before the war, it was $2.99 and cheaper. I mean, it's still $3.90. That's the old American stupidity that I like to call it. That it's $3. No, it's $3.99. That's $4. It's a penny cheaper than $4. Oh, and with gasoline, it's even more insulting. If you look at it, it's $3.99, 9/10. It's really $4. I'm sorry.
Sure. Hey, Jimmy, could you say that? Okay, so we're not unloading bombs onto Iran right now. There's a ceasefire between Lebanon, or Hezbollah in Lebanon, and Israel. Can you say, or would you consider that right now we're in a policing situation in the Strait of Hormuz, and that this could be the status quo for some time? And I got a follow up to that.
No, because if we were policing, we're not policing. We are blockading. And Iran is not policing, they're blockading. Blockading is you cannot move. I'm not going to allow you to move through the stretch. Both of them on either side. I'm not saying just one of them. So just before you, Iran's not letting certain ships go through and we know that they have taken possession of them. And the U.S. is not allowing any ships coming out of Iran with their petroleum. So policing is not the word. Policing would be, okay, let me check you out. Yeah, you're legit. You can go through. No. It's a blockade. As a matter of fact, the U.S. calls it what it is, and I appreciate that the government is calling it a blockade. Blockade is none of your petroleum can come out. And basically Iran is saying, hey, you're not going to pass through my blockade with petroleum either. If mine is not going through, neither is Saudi Arabia, neither is the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, or Qatar. None of the petroleum is going through either. So it's really, policing is not the word I would use. I would really use blockade on both sides. Okay, I'm not trying to say one is doing something that the other is not doing. They're both doing, which is kind of interesting because that's what's maintaining the price of oil. Oh.
Right, someone's making money. We do know that, Russia. And here's my follow-up to that, Jimmy. Seeing that, the Iran's got its blockade, the United States has its blockade. So there is a chokehold there in the Hormuz. However, we do know that Saudi Arabia is making efforts to increase traffic through the Red Sea. And also, there are other countries in the Gulf who are improving their infrastructure that are moving oil through pipelines to ports, diverting the Hormuz. So, could this be a calculated strategy for the Americans, for the Trump administration, in concert with Gulf companies, or I'm sorry, not Gulf companies, but Gulf countries that get a great deal of their wealth from the export of oil, the export of helium, the export of liquid natural gas, so forth and so on.
Only time will tell us. The reason they never use pipelines is because it's more expensive. Because you're gonna have to get the ships down there to load them and take it to other countries. I mean, the pipeline is only a fantasy more than a reality. Look, they're going to need those ships to get loaded, to take them to China, to take them to India, to take them to where countries they need to go. So realistically, it's still going to be, and that's why, to a certain degree, Iran is saying, I don't care if the ship is empty, you're not going through. So if those ships are still up there, you can bombard everything. And what we don't know, and this is the part that we really don't know, nobody really knows, doing it that way, would the gas still be cheaper or would it be more expensive? Because that's the part that we don't understand of the market. You know, there's a cost to doing it through the pipeline. This is not going to be free. There's a cost of preparing it. What happens if it's not working well? Look, before the war, oil was flowing really through there. It was really cheap. Everybody was happy. We decided to bombard this. Fine. Look, we think we're choking Iran by not letting this oil get out. Yeah, but we're also choking Saudi Arabia, United Emirates, Qatar, Bahrain, and all those other countries that supposedly are our allies. We're hoping that in 2 or 3 months the pipeline will be open and oil will go through. The next 2 or 3 months, we're going to be paying $4 and $4.50 a gallon. And after that, is it still going to be cheaper? We don't know. The thing is, this was not really thought through. I'm sorry, it really was not thought through. Somebody Netanyahu told Trump, bombard them, and in a week they'll surrender, and everything will be fine. That's why Rubio told him that's bullshit. That's why the generals told him that's bullshit. That's why even J.D. Vance told him it's not a good idea. There's no way it's going to last 2 or 3 weeks. It's going to take longer. Right now, the generals are telling us 2 things that we need to listen about this. One, they still have a lot of drones. As a matter of fact, they had a manifestation this week, a protest, in which they took out many of their satellites and showed them to their people. And the people came out and were applauding. So look, Trump repeats what he hears on TV and what people tell him. And this is something I want to bring up. I don't think that Trump lies. Whoa! I don't think that Trump lies. I think he relies on false information. Okay? Now, Netanyahu told him, hey, this will last 2 or 3 weeks. And hey, we took them out. Everything is out. Everything is good. They don't have a Navy. They don't have an Air Force. And what does he do? He repeats what these people tell him. He trusts them. I don't think he lies. I think he's ill-informed. There's a big difference, okay? When he keeps saying, I've been told, you need to listen to that. People are telling me. He keeps saying that all the time. I think he's misinformed. He really believes that the Iranian. The other thing he's been misinformed is when I keep telling him that they need all this money. Let me explain to you something that I don't think some of you understand. We have exhausted most of our intercept things to protect Israel. Okay? We have exhausted them to a point that we're down. So if anybody decides to send things towards the United States, we don't have that many. We had them, but we use them in Israel. We protected a friend. I understand that. Before you started, I understand we protected a friend. But that is something that I don't think he was informed to say, look, we're going to have to replenish everything we send up, we have to replenish that. And at this time, I don't see Congress, even the Republicans, spending $1 trillion on anything that they don't have, because we don't have it.
Right. Man, it's a whole lot to discuss. I do want to talk about the interceptors and the rest of our munitions that have dwindled down because of this war. But before I get to that, Jimmy, and I was thinking as you were talking, when we were talking about the pricing and the profiting of the oil that is leaving the Gulf right now, and I thinking about the United States national security strategy and how we're going back to the Monroe Doctrine. You know, we're going to take care of the Western Hemisphere. Now it's the Monroe Doctrine, so to speak, the Trump corollary, and a national energy strategy is very important in the national security strategy and being energy self-sufficient. And seeing that many oil companies were coming to the Gulf of America from the Gulf of Mexico to get oil. Venezuelan oil is on the market now for everyone, not just for Russia and China or whatever, or for China. And the industry is being built up in Venezuela. We have an excess of oil here in America due to shale drilling. Jimmy, there are 3 different benchmarks for pricing of oil on the world market. You have the West Texas Instrument, I think it's called. I'm sorry, the West Texas Instrument. That's the tech company. The West Texas Intermediate. That is based here in America, in Texas, in the pricing of oil there. It's about $97 a barrel. And then you have the Brent blend. That is oil from the Middle East. And it's produced in Europe, Africa, the Middle East. It's an indicator for international pricing. And then you have the Dubai Oman benchmark, which is pretty much a crucial marker for Asian markets. Jimmy, as I was thinking, do you think that Trump is making a case for pricing of oil on the West Texas benchmark, intermediate benchmark, WTI, and moving away from the international benchmark?
No, he's not that smart. He's not that smart. I'm sorry. He isn't. Look, he's all about making money. He really has never cared about the market as people might think. And even if he did, I don't think you understand how this really works. There are 3 markets, but at the end of the day, you made a comment last week, and I'm going to use you as an example. So, right now, Africa needs gasoline and has to go and buy it to Venezuela, which has always had that option. The problem, do you know why people were not buying petroleum from other than China from Venezuela? You really know the truth, not the bullshit that you've been sold right now. You know the truth.
Was it because of the type of oil that was being produced and also the difficulty in trying to produce that oil out of Venezuela?
That's half.
Okay.
You know what the other half was? Most governments of the United States declared Venezuela and threatened that if you went there to buy their oil, you would have repercussions. That is well known internationally. People did not buy it. First, it was not the best quality of oil. Second, unless you're in Latin America, Colombia has oil, believe it or not. Yeah. Mexico has oil. And so on. So there was no need for people to come from Africa to buy oil in Venezuela. Why? Because the stretch was open. It came out of Saudi Arabia, and the next day it was in any port of Africa. Okay, same with India and Europe and everybody else. But the threat that if you bought anything from them, you would be in trouble. That was what kept and the Chinese was like, yeah, screw you, I'll buy from them.
Right.
What are you gonna do to me? You know, China's never really been afraid of doing business with. Well, as a matter of fact, China's who supports North Korea. Everybody knows that. So, they don't care about it. That's why China was the only one, and Cuba because hell, what else are you gonna do against Cuba? So it is what it is. Look, the Monroe Doctrine is a way of the United States becoming an imperial giant. It's not to protect them. Oh yeah. Look, under the doctrine, Monroe Doctrine, they took over Cuba. They took over Puerto Rico under that. Then, to be quite honest, that allowed them to invade Honduras, Nicaragua, basically to create the fight in Panama that to end up with and take over the Panama Canal. Okay, yes. Are they protecting these countries? No. It is really protecting the United States, which I don't have a problem with that. But call it what it is. We're protecting ourselves from others coming in here to take advantage of it. Okay, sure. Fine. And I respect that. The only thing is that it's kind of a bullshit because you have Bahamas, you have Jamaica, you have other countries that are under British control, but Belize and all. But we're okay with that. We're friends with Great Britain. They can have their colonies here. We really don't have a problem. Okay. As a matter of fact, our biggest neighbor is an ally to Great Britain, which is Canada. So
Alberta does have a ballot initiative to succeed from.
It does, but as of today, it is. They're still out. And when the Monroe Doctrine was created in the early 1900s, it still is. Mm-hmm. So it's to protect the U.S. interest, and I understand that. The other issue here, and this is probably the most interesting thing, look, everybody's making money off this. Everybody's making money off this. The rich and the powerful, the two parties are playing us and playing us all these nice things. The truth of the matter, you have a Kelsey platform of predictions. Have you ever heard of them?
Kelsey, yes, I have a membership.
Okay.
Yeah, and Poly Market too.
And there's a lot of people in this government who are betting on things that they know are about to happen and making money. Okay, so let's stop pretending that they are not making money. As a matter of fact, if you go, you will find that I find it interesting who their advisors are, and it includes Donald Trump's son. And he has a big account with them. And if you think that, hey, put $2 million that we're going to invade at 2:00 and tomorrow afternoon, we're going to throw the first bomb. Oh, thank that. That's how corrupt this country has gotten. Okay, so let's hear ourselves. So when people tell me, is Donald Trump, if it makes money for Donald Trump, I would agree with you. If it doesn't put any money in his pocket, he doesn't give a shit. So that's as simple as that. I know that some of these people are trying to defend him or trying to create him. They call all these things because it sounds good. Look, the price of oil worldwide is based on the most expensive one.
Yeah.
We don't have to be at $97 here, but the rest of the world is on 97. So we here in Texas are 97. So I'm not sure if we're thinking, well, that will make it cheaper. Not really. No, because people come from other countries and buy here our gasoline. It's not only for us. And if they have to pay the Saudis 97, they're going to pay. We're going to make sure they pay us 97. Simple as that.
Oh, it's up to $100 WTI.
Yeah. Hey, this is a result of the war. We can
Yeah.
try to say whatever we want, but it's the result of the war. We knew it. We know it. If you ask any economist, he'll tell you yes. Uh, Now, some people can say that the war is good or the war is bad. That's immaterial. That is caused by the war is the issue. And I hate to say this, it's also a very simple philosophy in Americans. Do Americans really care about Iran? Do they care about the cost of the gasoline? Oh, yes.
Yes.
Do they care about the cost of the food that's going up because of gasoline to transport is getting more expensive? Yes. Do they care about their electricity that's going up because it's based on gasoline? Yes. So basically, that's what most Americans care. Do do Americans really feel great that we took out Maduro? No, they don't care.
I don't think people
As a matter of fact, separate apart of what the reality is, most Americans did not feel threatened by Iran. They didn't.
Mhm.
They felt threatened by Russia. They felt threatened by China, by North Korea, and to a certain degree by other countries. But see, the problem is that people's perceptions, voting, is two issues: pocket, and
Oh,
two,
yes.
does this affect me locally? Why do I say locally? Because once kids start going into war in Iran and coming back in black bags, ooh, if you think that people are against the war now, you have seen nothing yet. See, you're too young. You don't remember Vietnam. We
No, I
tried to
don't.
tell people that we were fighting communists, that North Vietnam was exporting communism to all of the region, that they were a thing of terror. And once blackbacks came coming back here where our kids did, the war became very unpopular. Or like Muhammad Ali said, people from North Vietnam have done nothing to me. And he was right. So uh, uh, this is what I would call a no-win situation, but it has given us the results that we wanted as far as Donald Trump is concerned.
Sure.
This is a distraction. We're not talking about Epstein at all.
That is true. Funny that, right?
Yeah, we're not talking about affordability at all. Even though we're suffering it, we're not talking about the fact that more Republicans are trying to redistrict to win over, and that people. We're not talking about the fact that most Americans have very little, very little trust in the U.S. Senate or the House of Representatives, or for that matter, in our government. Because what Trump took advantage was, hey, the government's corrupt, the government's bad, it's not working for you. Right now, people think that. As a matter of fact, it's kind of interesting. He's fired already 4 of his cabinet members, and he's about to, in the next 2 weeks, I'm going to make a bold prediction. He will fire another 4.
Really? Another 4?
Another 4.
Really? I mean, I can't see Rubio going anywhere. I can't see Hegseth going anywhere. I can't see Bissett going anywhere. Ludwig is going through his congressional hearings right now, so he's sticking around. I don't see Loeffner, the SBA secretary, going anywhere. HUD is the chair, not the chair, the secretary of HUD is still going to be there. I forgot his name, Price or something like that. I don't know, but 4 more. That's pretty serious.
Well, look, you keep thinking in terms of people that are. He fired the Secretary of the Navy.
Okay, right.
And that was an appointment of Trump.
Okay.
So it's kind of interesting when I say this. Look, Patel is so
Oh,
stupid. that he has his people investigating the reporter like he committed a crime.
Mm-hmm.
And what they asked him is that they want him to tell them the sources. We all know about that's not going to happen.
Right.
Patel is gone. I really think, and I'm going to say this, I think I disagree. I think the Secretary of War is going to be the sacrificial lamb for the war in Iran.
Really?
He's going to have to blame somebody, and he's not going to blame himself. He's going to come up and say, "I got some bad advice." He can't fire Netanyahu because he's not doesn't work for him. The generals all told him not to go in there. The only person who was supportive of this war, and that actually was the Secretary of War. So I think he's going to be a sacrificial lamb. I think that also it's going to be interesting. He's going to try to fire, which he doesn't have the power to do. He's going to try to fire oh my God, the Fed person.
Yes.
He's a member. He's going to appoint a new person. As a matter of fact, he's already recommended a person that he could do. And what he does not realize, because nobody sat down and explained this to him, is that the chair per se does not have any powers. It's the whole board that has to make the decision. And unless he fires the whole board, the new chair is going to have a problem. But he's going to try to fire the chair of the Fed, and that's going to come back and bite him. And there's a fourth person that I think we do not know of yet, but is down the pike. And when I say it's not always a secretary, it might be a second in command or even a third in command. And to this effect, yeah, we will see that. And he might even fire the chief of ICE also, just to save his. Look, he's mad. Things are not going the way he wants. He realizes that there's a good chance they're going to lose the upcoming House and the Senate. They also realize that the redistricting is not as well as it should be. And with that, I'm going to go into the Virginia one. I find that interesting. Virginia is got the people to back it, like California.
Oh, yeah. Fairfax County came out in droves.
And with all due respect, that is something that is different from here in Florida, where you and I reside. We've never voted for it. They're about to see if they could redo it. And I looked at the map, and I'm going to tell you something. I think they're taking a big gamble in Florida. There's going to be a lot of districts with 5 and 6%. And if the surveys that have been made in our state are correct, the independents are really pissed off with our party, because our party has done shit for us. I mean, our House and our Senate, House has gone to the end of the road with a budget. Twice, not once, twice.
Right.
There's done nothing for the homeowner insurance hikes that have been going on here. There's nothing that's been done for floods and other issues, that hurricanes here. There's nothing that's been done for our security. Basically, they try to say that there's crime here, even though crime is down. They've ended up with wasting time and trying to imitate the federal government as to immigration issues. They're trying to SAVE Act, which in Florida, according to our numbers, there was 5 people who were questionable. 4 of those were people who were convicted felons, U.S. citizens. Okay, U.S. citizens born and raised here, not foreigners, not who thought that they could vote, and that's an issue for another day. The 5th one was really a U.S. citizen who tried to vote twice. Yeah. And by the way, was not allowed to vote twice. So, ballots by mail, we were one of the first states to do it, and one of the ones that's the safest. Uh, uh, and it's kind of interesting because we've only had one election in Florida. One election, and it was the city of Orlando that was ballots by mail only. Everything else, you could early vote. You could vote on election day, or you could ask for your ballot to be sent to you, and in the privacy of your home, you could vote. Okay, and it was very effective with our senior citizens who live in nursing homes who might not be able to go out to vote at all. But it's something that I've never understood the logic that all mail-in ballots are fraud. It's an excuse to just say I lost. It had to be that. There's no proof that it has ever been, and I'm just saying we're going to have to see where that comes. Florida, I keep hearing they're going to do it, but with all due respect, my sources tell me it's a toss-up. It could happen, and it could not. The way the House is split up, they're having difficulty with the budget, and we all know that they're having difficulty with the budget. And by the way, the Constitution of the state of Florida requires them to have a budget and for it to be balanced. Okay, it does not require for them to do redistricting. It requires them every 10 years to approve a new map.
Correct.
Last time I checked, this is 26. This is not the year that they are required to do redistricting, which is interesting. What are they going to do in 2031?
Same thing, redistrict.
As somebody who's done this is not as easy as it looks. As a matter of fact, a couple of maps that were submitted when you and I were in redistricting, they were trying to create a balance between Republicans and Democrats in the county, and it would never happen.
Right.
Because our neighborhoods are not. I can't think of a neighborhood that is Republican purely. They thought it was Winter Park, and Winter Park ended up being more Democrat than Republican.
Exactly.
So it's really something to see down the pike. But I am concerned that most of the states that are MAGA have just decided we're going to do it on our own, and other states have said, "Hey, citizens, what do you want to do?" Now, that one county voted more than another, that always happens. That's the biggest bullshit I've heard in a long time. We all look. I'll give you Florida. My strategy: you run Florida, a statewide election. You go to the supervisor of election of 7 counties, and that will tell you the result.
Pretty much.
Dade, Broward, Palm Beach, Hillsborough, Pinellas, Orange, and Duval. Those 7 will tell you the results. The other ones would have to be so sided to one side to the other that to make a difference. So basically, those 7 will tell you. As a matter of fact, that is normal in every state. There are large cities, and they're rural. The rural areas do not have the population that controls the votes. I'm sorry, you come from Illinois. Chicago is a large city. Chicago, most people joke about it, but the way that Chicago goes, Illinois goes.
Right.
So when they tell me, well, the people of Fairfax came out, I'm going, okay, they did. It's a large county. Yeah, it is. That's usual what happens in every state. Sorry. Atlanta's a big city in Georgia and has a lot of. So what I'm trying to say is realistically at this point, what were they afraid of? I think that they might have lost in Florida. Why? Because there's a lot of Republicans, and you know this because you've heard this, who are afraid of redistricting, that it might come to bite them back in because of 5 or 6 with over 30% independents who are now not aligning themselves necessarily with the Republican Party might just vote for a Democrat in an election.
They'll have to vote. These Republicans will actually have to go out and campaign and work for the vote instead of sitting back in a reliably red district. Now they have to be competitive. Wow, what an awesome concept! Fight for your vote. Get out there, get off your duff, and actually do some work and get to meet your voters, your constituents, and earn their vote. I'm all in favor of making these red districts less red, making them more competitive. And also, in regards to redistricting, why I'm in favor of redistricting here in Florida, the competitiveness, it makes things more competitive. Second, 67 approximately 67% of the participants in the 2020 census actually participated in the survey. 67 of the populace. Many minorities were undercounted, and this is documented with the census. This is documented with then AG, Florida AG Ashley Moody, and now Senator Ashley Moody's office, a request for the census to come back and recount. Florida was denied possibly one or even two representatives in the House of Representatives. So I'm in favor of that. Just the fact that Florida was underrepresented in the census due to the pandemic and the enumeration process. I understand that there's a Florida Constitution amendment that says that we can't do this. However, I believe that the DeSantis administration has a very compelling case to present to the Florida Supreme Court, stating, "Hey, the original count in 2020 was flawed, and we're just correcting things."
You can correct whatever you want, but if it's not done by the U.S. Census, it's not going to count to give you one person in the House more. And the truth of the matter is, we're undercounted like every other state because I'm going to use my county as an example. I don't want to use that in some other county because that's not true. Where's the largest Hispanic population in Orange County?
The largest population of Hispanic population in Orange County would be in East Orange, Southeast Orange. No? Would it be in the Apopka area? Wow. Okay.
And those people, if they count those people, MAGA is going to have a piss off. It's going to be a piss off.
Right.
Okay. So when they say they don't count all the Hispanics, you are right. But there's a tendency that if you don't have papers and somebody from the government is knocking on your door, you don't answer.
Double-edged sword.
Yes. So what they're going to do is they're going to try to say, "Hey, we didn't go to South Apopka," or they didn't open the door. Well, yeah, they didn't. And they're not going to open the door. And much less now that all employees of the state of Florida and all law enforcement people of the state of Florida, if they knock on your door and find out that you're not here with papers, they have to arrest you.
Wow.
So that's the part of the bullshit that I don't like about this. Were we undercounted? Yes. No doubt in my mind. Then let's be honest. How many people wanted to go into Paramore, to Ivy Lane, and walk that neighborhood, unless you were African American? But if you were white, want to walk that neighborhood and go door to door, and the people in those houses would open their doors to them. Look, is there, this is the result of something that I do not like to say, but I'm going to call it out. MAGA has created a distrust towards our government. It's corrupt. It is bad. These people want this, they're that, da. They created it. And there's a lot of people who you knock on their door and you say, "I'm from the U.S. government here to ask you questions about who lives here and what's going on in your house, and they will tell you to go fuck yourself. That we're going to be undercounted. But does that justify to say, well, we're undercounted, we could do a better job? Look, that's cockiness. I'm not sure if they could or if they couldn't. I'm not sure. But at the same time, the districts are decided based on the U.S. Census of every 10 years. So they could do whatever they want. And for the record, this is something that they don't tell you. We, under the current census, we gain a seat. And New York lost. So let's stop pretending that we are completely unrepresented. And the question I'm asking this to the MAGAs here in Florida, do you want the numbers to count the people who live in the state, who take care of TG Lee's milk, who take care of our agriculture, who pick our oranges, who pick our vegetables, who pick our strawberries and pick out all those other stuff? Do you want those people to be counted in the census? Be honest with me, yes or no?
I can see MAGA saying yes, and then when those individuals are eventually deported, they're okay with that.
But yeah, but then our numbers have gone down. Are those then real numbers? Then can I argue that the only reason that we got them is so we could deport them, and we're saying we have 2 million residents, but we deported one of them?
Right. And that's across the country.
Yeah,
that would be across the country.
Do we have to make an adjustment? And do we lose seats because of people we deported? That's a good question.
Yes, that's a very good question.
So I would have to say, look, right now is going to be an interesting now 5 or 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Look, if prices of gasoline maintain $4 in that level around there until August of this year, that the primaries are coming around, there's going to be some effects on all the county elections. Okay. If the prices of gasoline are up all the way into October, I'm going to win my bet that the Democrats are going to win more than 20 seats in the House of Representatives. And that is counting on two factors. You see, this is the part that people don't understand. Population controls the House. If Virginia redistricts and makes it more pro-democratic, and California does the same, and your home state of Illinois does the same, we will enter in November in redistricting with a 6-seat ahead Democrats. For some reason, Donald Trump is not good at math. He thought, well, Texas will throw me over. Yeah, but if it was only Texas, you're right, Donald. But you were misinformed again. You didn't think that Illinois would do the same. You didn't think that California would do the same. You didn't think that Virginia would do the same. If they do that, then we will. And that is considering that Florida redistricts. If Florida says, hell no, it will be almost an 8-seat advantage. So this is something that people do not understand. He was right when he was advised to say, hey, Texas, do this. Fine, they did it.
Right.
I'm not saying they did. But if there was only Texas, yes, there would be an advantage. But when you have California doing it, which is the largest state in the union, it's not pretending. When you have states like Washington who are going to do it, Illinois who are going to do it, Virginia who are going to do it, and New York that's going to do it.
I think New York and Governor Hochul said no, and which Illinois is such a horrible gerrymander, and it's been like that since I was starting politics, 30 odd years ago. I don't think they have the capacity to gerrymander any further. Now, Virginia, the Supreme Court told the election officials that they cannot certify the recent election results, allowing Virginia to move forward with the redistricting.
They don't need that. We don't have any certification here to redistrict. If that was the case, there's no election here in Florida. Okay, let me show you what I'm trying to say. There is no election in Florida to certify to say that the electors approved this. There is none. The governor and the House and the Senate decide we're going to do it.
Right.
So all Virginia has to do, okay, we're going to do it. The Supreme Court of the state has said we cannot recertify that. And I'll tell you one thing. That's going to go to the U.S. Supreme Court, and the U.S. Supreme Court is going to say, yeah, you can do it. Based on what we decided in Texas, it can be done.
Right.
So, the problem is that people don't know. It's like the thing that you understand. When you open a door, you can't then say, well, yes, for us, yes, but for them, no, it's not going to apply. So it's going to be interesting. But realistically, it is going to be to see how this thing goes. And to be quite honest, I don't know if New York would change their mind if Florida redistricts. That's the other thing that some of the people have told me here. They think that if they redistrict here, that New York might decide, hey, hold it.
Wow.
And, you have Maryland, you have other states that are thinking about it. So, yeah, it is going to be, look, gerrymandering in Florida, we know how it is. Let's stop pretending.
Sure.
Every state that is controlled by one party, not and the other party has very little to say, gerrymandering is going on. The only problem with gerrymandering and this is that the largest population, Republicans only have one large state, Texas, followed by Florida, but then you have Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, Kentucky, and all those other red states. They really don't. Right now, they're already gerrymandering, and they don't have the population to say, hey, we're going to have our 24 people will do it. California has more than 50 House seats, okay, simply because of population. So It's going to be an interesting thing to see what happens, but my bet is that realistically, I don't think that the Republicans have realized one thing. They have lost the independents. Independents wanted prices of food to go down. That hasn't happened. Independents wanted no more wars, and that's not happening right now. Independents elected him because they thought that the cost of living would go down, and it hasn't. Independents voted for him because they were pissed off with Biden, and now they're pissed off with him. What goes around comes around. So, yeah.
I think DeSantis is going to go ahead and move forward with the redistricting. He's already set the date, and I think he's going to sign whatever paperwork's necessary to implement the new map.
Yeah, but he would have to have the House pass it.
Okay.
And his relationship with the House, that's what I'm concerned about. He has no relationship with that House. The Speaker of the House and him don't talk to each other.
That's true.
If I'm going to be honest, they hate each other. Let's use the H word. They hate each other. So,
good Lord.
Well, hey, I accept that the Democrat Party is divided. For those of you who think that the Republican Party is not divided, let's start by one thing. MAGAs are not really Republicans. They're more pro-Trump.
Exactly.
That's fine. And Trump is Republicans tend to be more conservative, and MAGAs are not conservative at all. At all. Right. So there's a divide there. Right now, DeSantis is trying to keep control by backing the lieutenant governor for the next time around, even though he knows that Donald Trump is backing Donald, the other side, and it's going to be interesting. But I see coming out of the primary, Donald Trump's candidate is going to win. Okay, How hurt is the party going to be after that? That's a good question. And how's it going to come out? The only good thing that the party has right now is that Democrats are so fucked up. They don't have anybody ready to run against them. And even though I'm backing them, means you and I do not know what he's doing.
Right.
Yeah, and I'll say that. Right? But yeah, the party is split up. But hey,
Function.
nothing new.
So, Jimmy, I think it's time for the fuck ups of the week. What do you have for us?
Which one party you want first, the Republican or the Democrats?
Let's go with the Republicans.
Okay, this one is simpler. People, you have failed the American people right now. You have failed by simply, and this is how simple this is, not doing anything about the cost of living that you promised. Right now, you see everything going up, going up, going up, and trying to justify whatever the president does and not doing anything to reduce the taxes on oil. That might bring down the cost of gas about 20 cents a gallon, which would make some difference, but you haven't done that. You have not done anything to control at all and try to bring in new businesses to this country. Basically, you have done everything you can to act in a way that you do not do anything to help people. You have passed the SAFE Act, which is something unnecessary. You have reduced tax to the rich and the powerful, which doesn't help anybody. You have allowed the cost of health insurance skyrocket. We're in April now. People, it has skyrocketed the cost of things. You have cut down the subsidies that you gave the U.S. citizens, saying, hey, I know the cost of insurance is expensive. Let me help you out. No. What I did is I reduced the taxes of the rich and the powerful, and that money that they're not paying is what I used to use to pay for your health insurance. Oh, everybody should be self-sufficient. Well, then make it for everybody to be at the same level. Oh, no. You protect the rich, and you, like they said in the movie History of the World Part 2, where the Roman Senate said, fuck the poor. That's what you've been saying to the United States. The U.S. House of Representatives, controlled by the Republicans, has been saying, fuck the poor and fuck the middle class. Now, with that, let's go to the Democrats. Yes, you have failed to understand your campaign manager's strategy. Your campaign manager, Donald J. Trump, is giving you a silver platter, a war that no Americans are in support of. Well, I shouldn't say that. 32% are in support of it, but when you have 68% of them saying no, he has put in a silver platter the affordability issue. Gasoline is $4 a gallon. And by the way, it just, during this recording, it went from $97 to $100. So it went up $3. So that's going to reflect at least 3 more cents in the pump. So just get prepared for that. He's put in a silver platter for you the issue that basically he has done nothing to help the middle class. But the most important thing that you have failed to do, this is an election about one word. Cost of living, you don't have to work on that. Donald Trump will take care of that. Affordability, you don't have to work on that. Donald Trump will take care of that. What's the one word you have to say? This is the most corrupt government of all time. You have not mentioned that. Well, maybe because most of your members also are a little bit corrupt, or not as much as Donald Trump, but that is where you might want to make an issue. First of all, kick out the corrupt members of the Democratic Party, send them to the curb. get somebody who's not of the establishment to run for president, like the Republicans did with Donald J. Trump, and hammer how corrupt. It is not Donald Trump chickens out. DACO means Donald Trump cashes out. Once you do that, you will have an effective campaign. Don't expect to win this election because the people are unhappy with Donald J. Trump and what he's doing. Show them why they should be unhappy with what he's doing. With that, subscribe, please. Give me your comments, please. Dislike or like everything. Lately, I like the idea that most of you are liking what you see. But let me end up with this. Your problem is not your neighbor. Your problem is not your crazy uncle. Your problem is that he's MAGA or he's a progressive. That he's blue and I'm red. That's not your problem. Your problem is that your government and your politicians are manipulating you to divide you. So you don't hear about the real issues as the cost of gasoline and the cost of food. We are not the enemy. We should be united as Americans and agree to disagree. But your problem is that the elite that you so against control MAGA and control the Democratic Party. So if you're against the elites, you might want to think about this and say, hey, I'm not going to vote for an elite who all he cares is about putting money in his pocket. With that, I will see you next week. Have a great week, and I hope my allergies are gone by next week.
I hope you feel better, Jimmy. Thank you so much. We'll see you the next time.
Take care. Okay.
Take care.
Bye. Oh,
Bye.